There, stop now. You're gonna hurt your teeth.
Which chase one?
Huh?
Which chase one?
Have I heard any more about that truck?
No, I'm not gonna go look. He knows that. I don't think I look.
Somehow Gigi got knocked slap off, y'all.
It won't let me go back live.
Look at this.
Are you live?
Yeah.
It won't let me go
Look
live.
at all this here, y'all. Hello again. We're back. Yes, we are. Look at all this here. I need to shave. I'll clean myself up. I'm looking like a woolly booger.
David's an attention hoe. Did y'all notice?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I got light a cigarette.
I turned it around.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm just picking on him. I love him to death. You guys know we've been married, golly, this year 21 years. 21 years in like 3 days, y'all. On the 21st, be 21 years. Hey, Bama, thanks for a text. Yeah, they kicked me right off. I must have said something wrong. Because I have really good service, so it's not me. I must have said something wrong. It might have been Sister Mom that might have got me, or Annie Mom, or that might have got me the boot. I gotta watch my words a little better. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. When I get kicked off, I put that on my scoreboard over here. 1 for me, 0 for them. Score for me. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. And then when it takes y'all at least 6 hours to try to save a live, then you know you did something good. The other day, I was fighting with them. They were trying to delete my live. I was trying to save it. It took 6 hours, didn't it? Yeah. For me trying to save that one live. I was like, I'm going to save it regardless. I got 2 phones going at the same time. They ain't going to get it. They're not going to get it. And then one night I was trying to, and they did get it. They won that battle. But
can't win them all.
I try. I fight. I fight hard. All right, guys. So back to what we were talking about before I go on a rant, because somebody was ranting the other day, and let me tell y'all, I was watching a video. It was so gross. It was by, and I don't normally discuss other creators, so I'm just gonna say this lady's name was Bush something, and then it was a letter in the alphabet like ABC blank. Okay, figure it out for yourself. Anyways, that was her YouTube name. And normally I go by there, just kind of put my finger on the pulse of what's going on YouTube. So she said, I've got it all figured out. And I was like, well, hey, I want to check this out. She's got it all figured out. And she starts into this video about remember that time in October where Hunter's daddy brought down 14 men from New York. I bet y'all that when Hunter's daddy brought down them 14 men from New York, that Candace sold Summer to those 14 men, and they all got to rape Summer that night. And anyways, as I think I blanked out as she said that, and it's become like this murmur in my head. And I wasn't the only one got triggered, because I started reading comments, and she was still murmuring in my head, because I started going through videos and remembering watching Summer play afterwards and seeing her dressed up for Halloween with her face painted and stuff. So I knew that none of that could have really happened that way. Not physically, not the way she was painting the picture in my head. Anyways, it could have been they came and I'm sure she let things happen, don't get me wrong, that she wasn't paying attention to because she was blitzed. But it was the way she said it that I thought she had lost touch with reality, because she said it in a way that she didn't think about what she said, in a way that if that would have happened that way, that little girl wouldn't have been outside playing anymore. She would have had to been at the emergency room, or possibly even dead. It was horrible the way she said it and the image that she put in my head. So the pictures that my mind replaced it with was Summer's face painted, and the fall, down there at the church, and they were getting ready for Halloween and stuff, and it was really cute pictures. But I was reading the comments, and there was other people that were triggered, and they had went into places in their mind that were horrible, and it was so sad because I thought, well, I know where she was wanting to go, and I know she was making a lovely point. She was trying to say, hey, Cam and Ricky, you know what? I appreciate that. I actually believe that also. But I believe this lady was right. And I believe what she was trying to say is, could these men have been told to come down here? But she's more on the lines of, these men could be asked to come down here because this church is actually trying to build a bigger congregation. They are actually saying, hey, we got work down here. You guys all come down here. They are the ones that's actually trying to pick out this community of really nice looking European people that fit into their congregation. And then they'll tell you who you'll marry, and they'll tell you who they'll accept. And then they'll give you a house and a place to work. And, they'll just set up a payment plan for you. But the way she said it was just like, I wish you would get touch with reality. Go outside, hug your kin, hug your grandbabies, or do something that puts you back a little bit more into reality, to understanding that in real life, if something horrible as 15 people came down and did something like that to a little baby, it's not as cut and dry as that, you guys. Something that horrible were to happen to a child, trust me, you would know. It's not that easy for that little baby to just go on from October, to June, and nobody noticed anything, okay? She was going to church. We know how good she looked in December with her dress on and stuff, so don't think such horrible thoughts, you guys, especially not back then when that went on. It's probably a little bit less sinister as that, what I think happened anyways with those guys coming here. I don't think that it was as horrible. Do I think something could have happened and her, Candace just be out of it and allow things to happen? Yes, I don't believe you should ever have any single man around your little 5-year-old daughter, much less 14 or 15 single men around your daughter. No, that's, just don't do it. But I don't believe it's that sinister. So, who is saying they're lost? Shell, it is a lot. That's why today, all we really want to cover today is that the story that you guys have heard is that Karen, okay, this is the story that Don told you guys from the beginning. I'll start there. He said that his mother died and left him that house on Bean Hill Drive. And he started his life from there. Well, and he also said that him and his wife, Candace, took care of her. And because of that, and she was dying from Mercer, that she gave him that house in 11 acres. And we're just telling you that me and other people, which I do want to say I appreciate, especially I appreciate my post-it notes on my computer that help me do research. And they'll know what I'm talking about. Help me do research and finding out what truly is going on today. But we know for a fact that Karen did not leave this land to Don, and his mother didn't die and leave him 11 acres in that house. And we also know that Don owes $35,000 for that home, and Don pays for that house. He still pays for that house. He pays for all the upgrades he does to that house, all the materials he gets for that house. When Don gets punished, I think another important thing to think about, you guys, is the way that punishment goes in that church. When Don does things that that church doesn't like, Don gets punished. And normally the way that they punish people is they won't give you work. And by not giving you work, that's their way of kind of starving you out. You don't have the money to do things for your family or feed your family. And most of their lessons pertain to not having the necessities that you need in life, like not having enough food, not having enough clothes, and things like that, if you watch their services. So that's the way that they punish you, is by taking away your necessities and making you feel less than. So instead of shunning you or not talking to you, that's what they do to you to make you, get back in line. Some of the things that I've researched to find that they think are real important, I think are also real important, because I've noticed some changes recently in Don, such as like getting his teeth. And then it kind of opened my eyes to, hey, isn't that what Robin does? I know that she works in a dental office. And then I started looking at some of the other people and where they work at. Well, one of the things that they find very important in their list of things that you must do is their teeth. But then I looked at Candace and I thought, well, Candace doesn't do anything with her teeth, you know, and on their list of things that you must do, it is your appearances, and your teeth is actually listed. I mean, it actually sets it out separately as your teeth. And I thought about how many of them that I knew that work in either orthodontists or dentists, and it's a lot of them. And then with Dawn going and getting the new teeth and where Robin works at, and then looking at Candace, how much she is not trying to fit in anymore. In the beginning, when I went back and looked when they came into the area, which is around 2014, is when they started paying taxes there on the property and really came into the area. I noticed that she was trying to wear dresses, and her hair was longer, and she was going to the church more often and going to the services that they had and things like that, and had a lot of them added on her Facebook. And she was trying to fit in. Then it seems like something happened. I don't know if maybe Don cheated, or maybe he she's a very jealous person. I honestly think that Don may wanted to take on more wives, or he wanted Pam to possibly move in there with them. There's something there that she all of a sudden decided this is not going to happen. This has gone too far. And she just started going the opposite way of the church. She started, dressing more manly. um, she started getting a lot wilder on the internet, on Facebook. When I go back and look at the way she started talking, she started cursing a lot, alienating everybody on the internet, inviting a lot more wilder people out to the house, um, not conforming with everything else that everybody wanted to do. And yeah, I would say she totally, with Summer especially, she's she clinged to Summer and completely alienated the boys. And I don't know if that's because the church preaches so much about how the boys are supposed to run everything and the women are supposed to be, uh,
Submissive.
yeah, really submissive, and we're supposed to do what's told. And they kind of start grooming the women from an early age to, if y'all ever know the story about Warren Jeffs, they start grooming these kids young, and to telling them who they're going to marry, and which uncle they're going to marry them off to. And I think by the time they're, 11 or 12, some of them are married off to relatives or whatever. Yeah, just love. Is that what you thought? For, you know what? That's went through my mind too. And I could still go both ways on, is it Pam or is it Patricia Nadine Wells? Because I'm telling you, one of the two is his mama. But when somebody told me one day that he was going to go to Maury Povich, I was like, yeah, please. I want to see that. I want to see that episode. It's going to be, who's your mama? Not who's your daddy, who's your mom. But it has to be one of them, only because that if that was his stepmom, if Patricia Nadine Wells was his stepmom, it would list Mary and Janine and all them. But all Patricia's names is Sophia and Dawn, Sandra and Dawn. And the only last names that she's ever like come out with is Ford, Sessions, and Wells. Now, on the other hand, on Mary and Jeannie Wells' side over there, we got Samuelson, Brown, Nelson, Wells, uh, Wolf Lover. That's a problem. In that religion, they don't believe in birth certificates. That's one reason they're getting so big in the school system in Tennessee, is because they don't want kids here to have birth certificate or shot records. In fact, any records. They just want your kids to be able to either be homeschooled or go to the school system and not bring any records, because they don't want you to have to show who your parents are. Because this sister moms thing, that's normal. They don't want you to have a record showing who your mom is, because your mom could be your sister. And I'm not exaggerating. That's the truth. They think
Right.
that anything goes on that kind of thing. When you get the whim of who you want to sleep with, that should be a man's. When a man gets the urge to do that, he should be able to do that, because that's what women are for, to satisfy that urge. That's what they are taught. I mean, there's a handful of things that women are good for in that church, and that's one of them. And I'm not being sarcastic. And I'm gonna tell y'all another thing. When that church comes for you, there, you ever met a little chihuahua? You ever have this little chihuahua dog? David will tell you this like this. You know how them chihuahuas run up on your ankle and they go, "Ruff, ruff, ruff, ruff," and you're supposed to jump, right, and get scared. Well, that's what they expect you to do. They run up on you and they bark, and then if you don't jump back and get scared, they're shocked, right? So they don't have anything. You can just say, okay, like yesterday, I just kept, we're going to report you, we're going to sue you, we're going to this. And it was like that little chihuahua that said, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." So I was just like, okay, well, just tell me the comment that I made to Robin that was slander, tell me the comment that I called her that was slander. And because I went to law school, I know that I'm not stupid enough to make a mistake like that. I didn't do that. So just tell me what comment that I made that was slander, and I'll gladly. But anyways, I would welcome a lawsuit from that church. I push for one, because there's such thing as called a deposition. If you guys ever heard that, it's where we get to sit in a room and ask any questions that we want. So I would pay for that anyways. So I welcome that lawsuit. But anyways, they were doing that. They were yapping at me, and I was supposed to just shut up, shut the website down, and be done. And when that didn't happen, they were lost. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to ask, what to say. And I told David, I said, David, and I was explaining it to him like that. I said, you know how them chihuahuas run at you and yap? And then if you're one of them people, like, I'll kick you in the head, dog. And then that dog don't know what to do. And it gets over there behind its owner and it starts yapping around the corner. I said, that's what that dog's doing now. It's over there behind the preacher, like yapping around the corner, like, whoa, 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 at you. Like, what do we do now? I want to get them, but they didn't run away like I thought that they would, because that's what they'll do to you guys. They're used to you running when they scream at you and they try to scare you. And if you don't do that, they will become, wow, well, now what do we do? Is they don't have anything logical behind them to back them up. Everything they do is immoral. There's nothing moral behind that. You can't raise your children to be like that and think that there's anything about that that's moral. It's disgusting. I mean, you can't tell me that I'm possibly having a child, and because of whatever sex it comes out as, one should be treated differently than the other. There's no way in the world you can even believe that. But somehow you're able to brainwash them people into believing that one's less than the other because of what sex she was born as. No, not in my lifetime, not in this house. And bad for you that I'm raising my female grandchild, and my male grandchild lives with his mama. But neither one of them's treated differently. I raised my female grandchild to be strong, and I've never broken her spirit, and no one's ever going to break her spirit. She's bad, yeah, a lot of times, but that's her spirit. I don't break it. I don't whoop her and break it, and no one's going to break it. So that's how she is. Yeah, SDA does. LDS does. The only difference I can find in the SDA and the LDS religion is one of them believes that you're also accountable for the sins of your ancestors, and one believes that you're not responsible for the sins of your ancestors. You're only responsible for your sins. So, Robin's behavior recently makes me think that she is having some form of nervous anxiety. Either she feels the pressure mounting on the things that they do know. Like, okay, let me tell you the things that they do know. They do know that this deed is a lie. They do know that on the 14th, someone from the church driving a red truck had to go out to the Wells's house. over domestic. See, it's no chance, you guys, that Don didn't get a DUI when the cop caught him falling out of the truck back in October drunk, and that's on the police report. That's not just by chance. They have people in that church that are called, like, they're like coolers. They come out to your house and they try to resolve everything so you don't get all the charges and the police don't have to come out and it's not as ugly. They just kind of settle everything down. So when they came out to the house, they were told what was going on and they settled everything out on the 14th. On the 15th, when he got off of work at 3:30, and the guy clearly told the police Don left here at 3:30, the job site. Now, he had someone else say, and I don't know who the other guy was, but he said, my other boss, which all of a sudden he has bosses, he used to say he owned his own company. You have to be a contractor to work up there because they don't cover your licensing for, what do you call it, workers' comp license. So you have to have a contractor or subcontractor, which we can go into checking his license. I guarantee he doesn't have that either. So that's just another illegal thing. But so he says somebody else seen him loading his tools in the Subaru, but that wouldn't matter because he already went home after the 3:30 thing, and he probably just rode back out there in the Subaru after he had done what he did with Summer. But anyways, at 3:30 when he left the job site, the reason he left the job site then was to go to the church because everybody has to be to the Sunday school meeting there at 4:30. And that's a normal thing for them to do that. But what I find even more interesting, though, is the Saturday before, the Sabbath before, Don wasn't at church, and he normally is. So that makes me very interested, was Don back on one of his drunks? Because he keeps bringing that up in conversation that, you know, I want to avoid that. I don't want to ever get back on that. You know, that's what he immediately started to right after this happened. That made me think, was that what had happened the weekend that this started? You had always been going back to church, but then all of a sudden that Saturday, you're not seen in that church at all. Then Sunday, she wakes up to whatever woke her up that night. She turns her phone on and starts recording you. I clearly hear what I'm telling y'all I hear happen in that room. She keeps her phone on and records it. She uploads it to the internet. She records over it. She uploads that to the internet. She still keeps that copy and uploads that to the internet. Then she continues recording, doesn't tell Summer to go back to bed. Someone goes outside and slams the door. They keep talking about the most beautiful lightning storm that had happened up there in 15 years. But she doesn't sound excited at all. She sounds like something's really wrong. She keeps that one also. And out of all the things she's deleted everywhere on the internet, she don't delete those 3 black screens. She's still keeping that out there to this day. But you're telling me nothing happened. So that's the next day. You don't go to church the 13th. The 14th, she's taping all of that, right? The 15th is when this happens. She's all beat up and bruised up in that car. The FBI report says the red truck was there on the 14th, the same day that I'm saying that she was beat up. The 15th, we know, is when this happened, when she decides to go down to the swimming hole with Summer, but she takes the one outfit she bought for her first day at school and puts it in her mama's truck, along with Summer, right? And they go to the swimming hole. And then she just tapes Summer with a dent in a milk jug because she fell against it asleep, right? That's what we're supposed to believe. And she just dropped a handful of candy because she just peacefully fell asleep right there in that seat, right? Because all that's what happened. And then when she sent you the video, even though her mom don't know how to use a phone, but right then she wanted her mama to take that picture. So this is what happened. And she sent that. And she was 5 minutes away from where Don was at that church. Walgreens. If you look, Google it. The Walgreens in Kingsport and where Don was at that church in Kingsport is 5 minutes away from the time she took that video. But she had to have it right then. Why? Because just 5 minutes down the road from him. And she wanted him to see, looky here. Look, either look at what you made me do or look, she's ready for whatever, okay? But then he leaves, right? And he comes to either get Summer, take care of it, whatever. But then, yeah, they decide, hey, we got to cover this whole thing up. I need to go make it look like I'm still at work. So He goes, gets the car, drives all the way back to his work, drives back home, stays on the phone with her on Messenger because she's got one phone to one ear and she has to get her mom's other phone to call 911. But Don is not going to let her talk to 911 by herself. Of course, he's going to stay on Messenger phone the rest of the time with her. She's not going to speak to anybody alone without him.
Possible though, when she said she threw the phone in the back of the truck.
She said she threw the phone in the back of the truck, but he clearly said he was on the phone with her the whole time. And he was. You think he ever let her talk to anybody without him being right there? No. If we ever hear that 911 call, you'll probably hear his voice in the background. Tell him do. Tell him do. Because she's got one phone in one ear and her mama's phone in the other ear. That's where those two phones are. It's all lies. But that's clearly what happened. But why doesn't anyone go? You could clearly tear down the walls to this whole story by busting down his first lie. But when he goes to the church and he says, look, Summer's missing. And who does she say she calls first, when it all happens? She calls Robin. Well, that tells you she ain't got no friends. She's got to call the church first. So she calls Robin. Of course, they all run out there. But who do you think Don calls first? Well, we pretty much know he's going to call the church. Or he talks to his job, right? Well, we know who he works for. We know who his boss is. So who fed him the lie? Because do we think that Don come up with this lie on his own? My mom died and gave me this house. Because Don can't forge a deed. Don cannot go forge a mortgage. Don is not smart enough to do any of this stuff. Don's not a notary, first of all. I am, but Don isn't. Okay? So therefore, he's not able to do all this stuff on his own. So, who would tell Don, you need to lie about that house? Who do we think that would have a reason to tell him to lie? Because on his own, would Don really have a reason to lie about that house? If he truly owned it, no. Right? If he really bought it, he could just say, I bought the house. Or, I bought the house from the church, and I'm still paying for it. Because that's the truth. He's still paying for it. He's only tried to sell a couple acres because he wanted to pay it off and leave and go back to Utah. That was his hopes. Oh, Grandis was there. Trust me, she's seen it. She knows. But that lady in herself is sick too. We can go way back with that one too. She's got issues. She's not a regular grandmother, but we won't go on that yet. Let's stick to this right now. If Don on his own, what would it be his reason to lie about that house? Why would he say that? And that's funny, Shell, about the Trents ever coming into it, because the actual Trents you guys are talking about, Carly Trent's people, the one that was found, that had been kidnapped and all, two separate people, but it's odd that would come in together, but just because of the last name, but they're no way, no form kin to each other or anything. The lady the Claudia Trent, I don't know how to say her name because the way she spells it. This lady's 78 years old, been in Utah her whole life. She's not kin to these same Trents in Rogersville. She's just an old lady this lady's just what I call a deed sweeper. Somebody that comes in and just does all the paperwork to clear up deeds. So one thing that we're going to have to do when we talk about these deeds with this church is think of it as just paper, because physically these people aren't in these locations. One thing that they'll do is they'll bring everybody through a centralized location, like say for what they're doing in Kingsport is they're bringing everybody through Stagecoach. You have to have some type of history. You guys have bought houses before, and if you go to get a mortgage, they want to know about your previous history, like where have you lived before, and houses that you bought before and you've sold, or your rental history, things like that. So they're going to make it look like you've bought and sold land before, or you've lived at a house for a number of years. So they'll use the same addresses a lot, because it's harder to come up with 10 addresses than it is if I use the same address for 10 different people. So they've got lists there that I'm going to use every time I have to do a new deed, which makes it easier for someone like me to go behind them and track everything down. But for here in this area, they use Old Stage Road for everybody that comes through that they want to clean the deed up for. So for Don, Candace, and the Goads and all of them, they put the same address, Old Stage Road, and they'll run them through that, make it look like they bought a property there and sold a house there at this year. And Pam did the same thing, and Candace did the same thing, and Karen did the same thing, and William did the same thing. But then you'll go to that house and you'll look at the house, and either it won't be there at all, or it'll be a house that someone's lived at for 10, 15 years, and it's completely impossible. So, yeah, Wolf Lover, I've seen that house in Kingsport. No, it's another address that they use to do the same thing. It's just a random address that they'll put in to try to build a history. See, this bank, although it's not a bank that's government funded, it's privately owned, they still have to make it look like what they're doing is proper business. I mean, if the government comes in and audits them and they look at their paperwork, they at least have to look like they're doing paperwork correctly. They can't look like they just gave a mortgage to a guy that has never held a job for a year or stayed in the same location for a year, that has pretty much just ran around the country. Just him and Candace pretty much both have just ran around the country randomly doing odd jobs and making it from day to day. But to get a mortgage, you guys know what it takes to get a mortgage, the job history we have to have, and the loan histories we have to have, and the living histories we have to have. And we're supposed to have relationships with other people for long terms. Well, they'll sometimes pull other people in. That pulls Pam in, and that pulls other people into their lives to make it look like, well, they have to, at least for appearances, make it look like something that it's not. So it creates things when we go to look at it. Sometimes Pam's being brought in when she really isn't even there. Some of the new things that I'm learning about Pam now is that she has adult children and she has grandchildren that she's very close with, that still come around, that she still visits, that I wasn't even aware of. So she has more of a life, and she's not been tagging along as much as he's been tagging her along in paperwork. So the more we find out about people, the more we're going to see it's not what they're trying to make us think. You know what I mean? Like Pam's not, doesn't seem like she's been pulled around as much as they pulled her around in paper. She looks like she's living her own life, doing her own thing, you know. And she very much looks like she loves her grandkids and keeps in touch with them and her children in her life. Her real adult children, I mean, we talk about Don and Marge. Don's adult kids, people have always told me that those are both Pam's, Don Wells Jr. and Marge. Um, I personally don't get the same sense that they are both Pam's children. I personally don't get that sense. With Marge, I get a sense that she calls a lady that passed away in 2014 named May grandma. And Don Wells Jr., I just I just don't get no sense that he calls Pam mama. That's me. Did any of you guys got a sense that he thinks of Pam Wells as his mother? I mean, I've been so busy down the Karen William rabbit hole to prove that's just it. Don Wells had never had nothing to do with him, that I've, barely gotten a chance to get into Pam's life. But what I have found in her life is not nothing that I thought. It's totally different. But it's definitely some sister wife stuff going on. Pam seems to been in his life. Well, they put him in his life since early childhood. That's why it was almost like, is that a sister really or a mother? That whole family tree is going to be a whole conversation in itself, but he's definitely not Karen's child. And I know where he got that house. And I'm back to this, y'all. I'm back to let's stick to this because I believe the only way that we're going to get all the other creators where we need to be and where we need to go to knock down this wall is if we get everybody else eyes back on Kingsport and eyes back on Don Wells. Is to hold them accountable for the first lie. And if we can start knocking down that wall and we can stay focused because what they're going to do is now that he's got this channel back up and yes, we know who created it. Yes, we know who's behind it. And is he banned? Yes, he's not supposed to have another channel, you guys. But all that would do is get me unfocused. It would make me have to go back and deal with YouTube and a good week of my time. I don't want to do that. That's exactly what they want me to do. So I don't want to do that. It's not worth my time. I just want to deal with summer and I want to focus on this. So, Wolf, I would love someone to focus on that without me saying that out loud. I don't know. I haven't been able to find out. I would like to know. But I do know it's a lot of money. If you're going to talk $2 million in 6 months and I'm going to be running again for sheriff, money and campaigns and church members are a big deal when you get ready to rerun for sheriff. I'll say that. And because the only time he's decided to make a remark about this case is in the same sentence that he decided to say, I am going to run again, bothers me tremendously. So, because he wants to put those two together, I find it very distasteful. We have begged and pleaded for him to make a remark about this case, and the only time he wants to is when he decides that I'll say, yes, and I am going to run for sheriff again. Well, when he runs for sheriff again, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's at least 200 voters plus family members plus kin folks plus how much land do they have and how many people are they trying to recruit to the area. He knows what he knows. He's allowing it to go on. He knows that they're trying to grow. We know the same thing now. So, yeah. And if they're as big as we're talking, millions of dollars over 6 months, they've got more people in bigger places than we know of. Just like we said, the mayor's not going to rerun. Well, evidently he knew something because he's out of it. And then every day now, for what, an hour in the morning, there's a special that comes on my TV talking about sex abuse in the church and how that we need to start contacting lawyers. And I put that on my Straight Out of Utah page for you guys to go look at. So we're just now starting to see what a huge problem it is within the church. We're also starting to see that they're taking over the area at the same time.
Well, they're taking more area. They got Cherokee County.
Yeah, Cherokee County in North Carolina and all of East Tennessee.
And a little bit of Georgia.
And then we got that paperwork that came out from the council where they're getting into the school system. They're big on the school board. So they've got people that are on the school board. We don't know if they got people on the commissions. How many people do we know that they're sitting in the county meetings with them? We know they have those. We just have to get their meetings. We're not going to get the roster of the church membership, but what we can do is we can see them in their church meetings. We can listen for their names when they do the prayer meetings and they call names, and we can go and look them up and find out what they do for a living. Thank you, Cam. Yeah, everybody, please sub to that channel over there, Straight Out of Utah. Because a lot of times when I can't get stuff over here, it gets deleted over here. Like the other day, we found out the picture with Don and the red truck had gotten deleted over here when 423chase was looking for it. And luckily, I had uploaded it over there. So I was able to go get it over there and put it back over here. So a lot of things that we think you don't think would happen actually happens. It's crazy. Things go missing. And I'm lucky that we have the backup channel over there, and we're keeping things in two places and keeping our eyes open. But yeah, it's completely crazy. But back to what I was saying, I think that if we focus on one thing and we can get everybody's attention on one thing that's not too crazy. Because if we go say everything at once, we're going to look like we're crazy, right? They're going to say, oh, that's just insane, you guys. The church, well, first of all, when we say church, they're going to look at us like we're crazy. The church wouldn't have anything to do with a 5-year-old girl being missing. Okay, I know you're going to say that. And maybe not. Maybe the church didn't have anything to do with it. But when he came to you and he said, my daughter's missing, why didn't you guys talk to him more about that? Why didn't y'all focus on that and say, wait a minute, so what exactly happened, Don? You weren't at church last week. Have you went back to drinking? Are things going on with y'all? Y'all been fighting a lot. They knew things were going on in the family. Instead of sitting down and going, Don, if anybody asks you about that house over there, you better say, what are you going to say? Your mom died and gave it to you? I mean, you better say, don't have them looking into that. Instead of doing all of that, though, why didn't they just get into what really happened to your daughter, Don?
Can I ask you something?
What?
You remember that film you put up the other day about she was in the church and stuff, running around the beads and stuff?
Yeah.
I wonder who was panning, taking the pictures or video.
Oh, that was me panning on.
No, who was videoing her? Summer Wells.
Nobody. The video was stationary. That was me moving the camera on Summer.
Oh.
I was the one focused on Summer. The video was stationary. It just looks like that because I was moving my camera.
I was just thinking that.
I know it looks like that, but no, it was stationary. I was moving mine to make it look like you were following Summer.
I got you. Okay.
More people than you thought the same thing on that. It does look like. Yeah, it does look like somebody was fixated on her, but no, it was me. I was fixated, just watching her run around church. So how can we say this in a way to make people go look for the truth to get past? Let's break down that wall right there, because if Don is ever held accountable for that lie right there, or the church is held accountable for that lie right there, and break down that wall, that will make them have to break down the rest of the walls about the rest of the things that they knew about going out to the house with the domestic violence stuff, about the truck being there the day before, about knowing that a fight did break out, about knowing that they did fist fight at that house and that she was bruised up and stuff like that. They'll have to tell the stuff that they did know if they're confronted with the truth on where did Don actually get that house? Where did he get it? Nobody.
Him go missing.
Well, yeah, he'll be the next one missing, possibly. I wouldn't care if he was missing, honestly. So, what's the best way to go about that, guys? I mean, because I leave comments a lot when I go to other creator sites. I'll say, hey, I know he's lying about that house, or hey, I know he's lying about his mom, but I don't really get anywhere with that. So how can we go about it, or what can I do to make it easier for everybody to understand that, hey, no, you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning, Afro-Human. It's easy to understand. I mean, we'll break it down for you. That house wasn't left to Don Wells by Karen and William Goad. And as far as we believe, Don Wells' mother is alive and well with all of us. And we're actually trying to find out a really good way to break it to the internet so that everybody, will at least hold them accountable there for why that first lie. And if we can get past why that first lie, we have a feeling we can try to find out why he continues. I mean, if we could find out why that very first lie ever came out, maybe we could get to the bottom of what is the actual truth.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
If the church is going to allow him to tell that lie, and I know that they knew that was a lie, 100% that church knew it was a lie. Robin knew it was a lie. So if Robin's going to stand there and say she loves Summer, but yet she knew for a fact that was a lie, then why couldn't she at least say, I don't know why he's lying about that? Because he is lying about that. So at least for that, Why not? Why wouldn't she have at least stepped forward for that part of it?
I think she really
You're
loves
right
it.
about that, Bama. There's some channel. I look at me. I tried to say it one day. What happened to me? I got blocked. I get told I'm a liar. Shut up, and I get blocked. So you're sitting there then in silence, like, and just looking. Like, I know for a fact that it's true, but yet you refuse to hear the truth because either you want this to go on forever so you continue to sell membership and make money and we can all just continue to go down this road forever, or you know that what I'm saying is the truth and you just don't want nobody to know it. Now, which one is it? Because it's easy to find out for themselves. If they want to go online and pull this report, maybe that's what I need to do. Do I need to go online, pull the report, make a video of it, just take a picture of the report? Because that's what one creator did, right? Just picked the report out and made a picture of it and put it out there. So is that what y'all want me to do? Just put the reports out there?
No, he can take it home.
He's hit it good wherever he hit it, because I couldn't find it. I worked down there and looked at it.
Yeah, I don't want it.
Yeah. Or make a, you know how long it would take for a video though to be out there, to make a video long enough to break the whole mess down? You'd probably have to have 10 videos. But to break down the actual life of William and Karen, wouldn't take that long, actually, to break their life down. I could make a video pretty quick about that.
Found that before.
Oh, we got receipts. We got receipts. The problem is they should have had to have receipts when they said what they said. Now, it also does bother me that whatever does come out, when we do have to get to the truth about who their mom and stepmom is, like I'm pretty positive Don's real mom's name is Patricia Nadine Wells, okay? I would say I'm 99% positive that's his real mother. Now, that'll throw you into a battle. Okay, well, then who is his stepmother? Now, unfortunately, I don't want to touch that because I've already, on my own, went down that road a little bit, you guys. And from what I see of that area and Mary and Janine and all them, I would prefer not be pushed to have to go down that area. Um, what I can see from that, it is an area that I don't want to hurt anybody else. You know what I'm saying? As far as Patricia Nadine Wells goes, yeah, she has a criminal history too. Um, not one that I think she'd be overly embarrassed of or anything like that. I mean, I wouldn't be. I'd be embarrassed of who my son is. Yeah, she's done some shady stuff. Yeah. Does she possibly still live there in the same household as all of them? Maybe. I mean, they're all pretty close. Is it a sister wife thing? Probably. Whoever Mary and Janine and them's real mama is, that whole situation over there appears to be a financial fraudulent crisis, to be honest with you. I don't want to be nowhere involved in. Thank you, Odd. I appreciate it. Uh, TBI has been made aware. Do I think that they firmly grasp or understand? I have sent them numerous emails explaining. Do I sense they really understand? No. No. I think I think they're trying, maybe. But I think it's a lot. And I think if they're waiting to get to the very end of it, they'll be waiting far too long to arrest him. If they're going to wait to try to get to the end of where all this ends, then we may never, ever see them in jail. Well, now the TBI investigator I spoke to, she's a female, and she's wonderful. Wonderful. And I have no qualms about her. And I firmly think it is a man's world, though, but I think that she will buck up against him. I have a lot of faith in her. I actually told her I'm putting a lot of faith in her to go against the grain on this one. And if she does not, I mean, I gave it 14 days on a countdown on videos, you guys, 4 days ago. They got 10 days. 10 days, I plan to go to the Justice Department. I don't plan to wait till I come out the other side on this investigation because I don't think I'll ever come out on the other side. Because when I get done with Kingsport and I go into Church Hill, then you start going into Arkansas. Then it leads you into Texas. Then it leads you. It goes into like 3 or 4 different states, and then you end up back in Utah. So when I say that it leads you right into the Vallow case and another, it does. It leads you into where they have land at, where they have homes at that they've never paid for. Don't think that these people don't live in one place to another place to another place and never pay for anything. They don't. Not if they're big enough in the church. Everybody else under them pays for their way, just like a pyramid scheme. Your money is their money, and their money is their money. But the poor people stay poor and poorer and poorer, but the rich are untouchable.
Well, that sounds like the government.
Yeah. Their government actually is funny. Remember that charge I seen that I told you about that guy in Utah had on Don's paperwork? One of the guys on Don's paperwork was charged with a charge years ago in Utah, and it was a failure to maintain lookout.
Oh yeah.
Now, have you guys ever heard of a charge of failure to maintain lookout?
A tax audit guy.
Yeah. And he worked for the IRS in Utah. And his charge was failure to maintain lookout. Now, if I've got to maintain a lookout, which I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking out for, but if I can be charged with failure to maintain a lookout because I live in Utah and I'm supposed to be looking out for something, but I don't really want to be in that world. They have a world that is not like my world. But I think they thought that when they told this story that everybody would just go away. We would just all take it for what it was worth. And a lot of people have. I did. When I heard it, I took it for face value and I said, oh, his mama gave him that house and she passed away. But as I got to know their character, I never seen them taking care of anybody, not even themselves. I started thinking more and more about that. Wow, they took care of his mama while she was sick? Well, that's sweet. But then, they don't take care of themselves very good and they don't take care of that house at all. And then I noticed, there ain't no plumbing in there. That's not good. And there's not any, there's one power switch. Well, that's just right in there with a cord. And after one thing after another, and then when he went inside and the way it was laid out, I couldn't see an elderly person staying in there. And then the damage to the outside of the house and everything that I was seeing was screaming, no elderly persons lived in this house. And they were looking at the top of it and the addresses start moving around and I start saying there's something wrong here. So I start looking at the deed and that's really screaming something's wrong here. So at first, the story, you kind of do great, just glass right over it. But I think it was when I first started realizing, was hearing that TikTok, when I really was reading the comments and people were hearing Summer, but I didn't hear Summer at first. So I listened closer and I put my Bluetooth on and I started sharing it to other things in my house so it would be louder and louder. Then finally, when I did hear it, and I'm sitting there reading everybody else's comments, and like 200 people had commented, and then I realized, why would she cover that up and upload it and save it after all the things she deleted? And I realized she kept evidence. That's evidence. So I start going through the church videos and figuring out what time does he go to church and what time does he have to be there and who is his boss, where does he work at, what does he do for a living, what do they all drive, who drives what time do they have to be there. And then everything came into line. Everything. Every bruise she had, I started writing down every hour of the day that day, where they were, what they were doing, every moment. Then before that, I wrote down every day in their lives, what they were doing. If she was on the internet, where they were at on the internet, where they were out on vacation. And from March all the way up to June, I had every day of their life laid out. And then before that, I did every month. Did they look like they had money that month? Did they look like they were doing okay that month? That's awesome, LC Justice. It's amazing. I just hope we checked out that bank. Who owns that bank? But that's how I came to the understanding of what was going on, is by going month by month and then day by day and then hour by hour to what was going on in their life until I finally figured out exactly what was going on the very day. They have such, she had shared so much on social media. You could almost live their life with them, ups and downs, and you could tell when they had money and when they didn't have money, and when times were good and when times were not good, you know, almost up to the very day, payday. I mean, that's how that they lived their life, so close together. So it was easy to figure out once we had so much information. It's just now sitting here wondering, how do you explain it all to everybody, and how do you put enough pressure onto him where he's forced to tell the truth? I don't know. I know if we put all eyes on him, he thinks that's what he wants, but it's really not what he wants. He thinks that if we're all looking at him, that he is smart enough to convince us that we're all crazy and that he can tell us what to believe, and we'll believe him. He thinks he's the puppet master, but he is not the puppet master. The church is the puppet master. He's just a puppet. But he don't believe that. He thinks that he can make us believe what he wants us to believe. So, trying to figure out how to deal with Don. I used to talk to Don on the phone until I just finally had it. I had enough. And one day, I just flat out accused him of taking showers with Summer and stuff, and he lost it. Like, the only thing you can accuse him of is being a pervert to make him lose it. He cannot handle it. Something about that just sets him off into a rage. Oh, I was proud of myself. I loved it. My email address here is, if there's something about the church, send it to straight out of Utah, STR8 OUTTAUTAH at gmail.com. If it's about Summer, send it to justiceforsummerwells at gmail.com. But it was all at the same time that Cher was talking to him. I just didn't baby him like she did. I wanted to search for her, and we would come out to Tennessee and look for her. I have reached out to Lip Lock No More before. Prior to this, it was about the time that I was on Scott's channel and he told me I was a liar and blocked me. So, I don't know. I guess figured that they're on their own tracks, and I guess I was on mine. I don't really listen to anybody else right now because I can't. It's hard for me to stay focused if I listen to other people and the directions that they are going, when I know what direction we need to be going. I know all the players that are playing this game. I'm just not sure how to get everybody to pay attention to what's going on, and I can't just go screaming, hey, it's the church. Because I'm not saying the church is involved in what happened to Summer. I am saying the church is aiding in the cover-up of what happened to Summer. Just like when Lori Vallow did what she did because of her sick beliefs of JJ and Tylee, I have reached out to Colby. Colby runs a media channel, and hopefully he'll come and help us. Because I know that there's other people that have been through this. The church has a way to cover up things because they think that it's okay. I'm not saying they think that murdering kids is okay, but they think that having these sick beliefs that start us down this road are okay. And that's the problem. That stuff is what's not okay. That's what is warping these people's brains to thinking that it's okay to even start down these roads with these kids. It's not okay where it begins. And so therefore it's not okay for them to uphold the lies, own the lies, especially not feed the lies. Because why should they be doing things in that church that they have to lie about? That's okay, guys. Don't be sorry. I mean, he may or may not know, but I would never lie, especially with the tag Justice for Summer Wells. Why would I come in your room and be lying? And I didn't say it in a rude way. I mean, if someone come in here and wanted to talk about Summer, if their theory was aliens come and took them, I wouldn't block you and tell you you're a liar. I wouldn't. Not for $1 million, I wouldn't do it. So the fact it happened to me, it hurt me. So that just, it happened and it's over. It's okay. But especially if you had a tag justice for Summer Wales, and that's what the topic was. I mean, it would never happen. And somebody obviously, he just didn't think. I thought it was horrible. But it wasn't the first time it had happened. Gray Hughes, I tried to talk about the fact there was a dent in the milk jug one night on Gray Hughes' channel, and he laughed me out of the room. I was under my tag, Carolina Adventures, and he said that she was alive and well in that picture. And I said, well, there's a dent in that milk jug, and beside of her, it looks like her hand just opened and that candy just spilled out. Most kids wouldn't just fall asleep and candy fall out of their hand and their head hit a milk jug hard enough to put a dent in that can. And she's not beside of the milk or beside of the door. She's in between the two. Somebody reached and put her there because it doesn't make sense. She would have slid all the way against the door, slid all the way against the milk when she got in that car. But he called me every name in the book, laughed me out of the room, and I actually used to donate to his channel, and it was so embarrassing to me. And why do I feel like I want to cry about that? Because it's not embarrassing now. I think I'm angry. I'm just angry. I'm tired of trying to say the same thing, and nobody gets it. I'm not getting anything out of it. And I'm not getting anything by saying that she was probably dead in that picture and her head wouldn't have hit hard enough to make a dent in that jug if she wasn't. Because my child sleeps in my car and I can't ride around the mountains with 2 jugs stacked on top of each other and they just stay there. I can't. No one does. No mother I know stacks 2 jugs of milk together and thinks they're just going to ride in the back seat of her car. Nor would you ever be in a rush to take a picture like that riding down the road. Yeah, go eat with Papa, baby. No. Yeah, you don't need to be in here right now. Go eat with Papa. Get your phone right there, okay? Wait, I'll be in there just a minute. Get that phone, okay? Yeah, you okay? I'll be in there in a minute. Let Gigi finish. Let Gigi finish. Papa, come get her for a second. Come get her for a second. I'm busy. Go get Papa for a second. I'll be in there. So anyway, let me finish what I'm doing, please. Get your phone, baby. Let me finish what I'm doing. No, because Gigi don't want you in here right now. Mark. Yeah, hold on a second. Mark, listen. You're supposed to be eating lunch right now. What's wrong? What's wrong? I love you. Okay? Don't be sad. What are you sad about? Gigi not sad. I'm not sad, okay? All right? I promise. I'm not sad. I'm happy. Okay? I'm happy. I'm happy. Give me look. Right there. There's your cartoon. You gotta get your nummies too. Gigi's fine. She's so sensitive. She's like me. Alright. So anyway. So that's what I was talking about that picture. Yeah, I'll never ever go back to that channel again because, it was horrible. If that's what we're talking about, if we're talking about Summer's case, then everybody should be able to talk about it. Even if it's just to get out your feelings because something's bothering you right then about something you're looking at. And I don't care if you've went over it 100 times and you've decided that she is alive and that's your opinion. It's still your opinion as a creator and you're still having an open chat. If you don't want to have an open chat and you're convinced that your way is the only way, don't have an open chat. Just close it. Don't have a chat. Just state your opinions and put it out there for the world to listen to. But don't act like you're going to have a chat if you just want everyone to agree with you.
Right. This signpost is the hint that we need. Let me count the carrots on the signpost. 1, 2,
Well, go get a cup. You got your cup in there.
I can't.
You tank.
Yeah.
Well, Gigi's on live right now, so you're going to have to wait a minute. We got two phones going on. And I think that everybody out here that watched those pictures, your gut, when you first saw that, everybody got a pain in their gut. Something about that picture, there was something wrong. And if we listen to that feeling inside of us, it's normally always right, guys. People will try to convince us that we're wrong, and they'll try to tell us there's nothing there, that they've investigated that picture and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the end, I have a really strong feeling we're all going to say, trust our first instinct. You're right, Bama girl. We should trust that feeling because it's there for a reason. Like when we first seen it, nobody said, oh, you're going to see this picture. They're going to release this picture and there's probably something there. No, it's just we all of a sudden seen it and we all went, wow, something about that picture. Bert, what's wrong? Why are you acting like that? You need a nap? You do. You need a nap. It's nap time. Yep. It's noon. All right, guys. It's nap time. I'm going to get off here. But do me a favor, guys. Anything that y'all can think of that I can do differently to try to help convince everybody else of what we need to do, please let me know. I will gladly do it. In the meantime, what I think that I'm going to do is make a video addressing the fact and showing the links where you can go and show that this is definitely not his mother. I'll also go as far to say who I think that his mother is and why I think that Patricia Nadine Wells is his mother. I don't really want to go down the path of the stepmom area, and the reason is for, like I told y'all, Mary, Janine, and all them. That stepmom area is a gray area that I don't want to go down. I would like to also do a video about how I feel about that picture of her in the back seat, all the reasons. And I know that it's been done 100 times by 100 different people, but the things that I see in a different way than what other people have seen. I've seen people do that video, but I haven't seen them talk about the fact she's not by the milk and she's not by the door. She's in between. She was placed right there. And no one talks about that outfit. It was her first day of school outfit, her mom said. Well, why'd she get that and put it in Grandma's truck that day? And no one wants to talk about, well, why didn't she take the boys swimming that day? Well, I know why. Because it was her plan all along. Because of what he did on the 13th. It wasn't a plan before that. Not for a long time. But I really think after the 13th, she said, this is it. Because there's one thing about Candace that we all know is that she has a temper. And that's the second thing that I know about her. She's jealous. And she really thinks she can't live without him. She thinks if she loses the him in that house, she loses everything. But remember how hot it was that day. And remember Summer went all day long with no food, only a couple drinks. And till 6:30 that evening, she still had those hot clothes on. And she had been in that car for, we had told, several hours with Hunter, different places, driving around with Mom. Even when she went home, supposedly we're supposed to believe she never changed those clothes, because what did Don say? When she went missing, she still had on that same outfit. So if that's the case, then she still had on that hot outfit that entire day till 6:30 at least, right? With no food. Mama never talks about making any food for none of those kids. 7:30 that morning, Don was leaving. By 8, they were leaving. You know why? Grandma didn't hurt her leg like last week or yesterday. They went to Gatlinburg on the 28th, like 2 weeks before. So was it a doctor's appointment that morning, or did she have an old prescription that she could pick up to give Candace? Because Candace was in pain. Yeah, I agree. Take a look at some of her pictures. I'll put some out for y'all. She was bruised up, banged up. But it was from the fight the night before. Don't think the church don't know about it. They do. He should have went to jail for that. Then it would have never, all this would have never happened. But the church should have to address that. Address the domestic violence and address the lie that's being told about his mother and about that home. And about making us feel like that he was new to your church. You heard him. Let's go back to the original video. In fact, I'll do that one too. When he went and made us think that he hadn't been going to that church long. He had just switched to that church because he had just decided all of a sudden the Sabbath was going to be the day that he worshiped the Lord, right? This was a new thing. No. Then we start seeing Summer. She's everywhere. There's all these videos of Summer. They go back for years. She's been going to that church for years, right? But y'all didn't address that. You didn't address that he lied to us. He made us think he was not only new to the area, he was new to y'all's church. He just found y'all. And he decided he liked it, so he would keep going. What's up, Robin? You didn't ever address why would they lie to everybody? Didn't you ever think that if they started lying to us, we weren't going to believe anything that they said? And one lie was one too many when it comes to a missing child? No? Well, it is. Instead of walking around like you guys are in trances at those stupid visuals that you're doing up there that don't make any sense, Timmy. Robin, you look crazy, by the way. Address why you're letting the rest of the world sit and listen to lies, and you guys are acting like, no, there's nothing to see here. There's a lot to see there. Why? All the lies. Summer's been going there for years, Robin. You've taught her for years. He's not new to that church. He wasn't new to that church, but y'all sat and watched the videos just like we did, and he knew we were being led down that road. No one cared to stop that train, but you call us a circus. Y'all brought the circus to town. Well, hell, y'all are the whole damn circus. So, we'll start there. We'll start at the beginning. We'll start with the first lie that we know he told. The first lie was he was new to that church. Just started going there. Just decided that the Sabbath was going to be his holy day. We'll start there. I'll make my first video there. Maybe that'll give us a beginning point to move on. I love you all. I hope that helped in some way today. Well, we'll keep going. And if it takes doing this every day, we'll do it every day. But you guys know that I love you. Reach out. Send me an email if you need anything. And I'll be around. Y'all take care. Bye.
No.